Hello, good day. Yes, I've been meaning to do this video for some time now to react to the recent development in our marital space. Excuse me. It's very especially as far as African marriages are concerned. If you critically followed or if you've been critically if you've been following the recent trend critically, you will observe that a lot of things are going on wrong in African marriages these days. You know, recently you saw Frank Ido's and Chike's, saga. Ugo and his wife. So many of them that I cannot keep. I cannot recount here now. But one thing that I have found out from all the recent developments, marriage crashes that have happened, is that women are rising up to justify, you know, even the acts of their fellow women, even when they are obviously wrong. Mind you, this is not me saying that Frank's wife was wrong or anybody was wrong, but I have there's something I want to really point out. You know, the things are really falling apart in African marriages, and the reason is what I want to bring to you today. And if I'm not intentionally or careful, this is just the beginning of many embarrassing moments that will come out of African marriages. Because from trend and even from what I've seen, you know, happen in many marriages, I can tell you that if care is not taken, it's going to be getting worse by day. So marriages will, as time progresses, the cases of adultery is going to be on the rise. So many marriages will crash, and the reason is because there are a lot of things that have gone wrong, or that is going wrong, or that have been going wrong, that we see as normal, maybe because of cultural bias. So today I'm just going to discuss some of the things that I found are responsible for the rise in for the rise in things falling apart in African marriages. First, if you observe, the first thing is the process of selecting your spouses. If you observe from African point of view, in those days, our parents were the one responsible for selecting wives for us as Africans. And the advantage of that, how that helped hold marriages, you know, was that they don't just go about selecting wives. First, it's either they are continuing they were continuing their friendship. Like, two families, maybe two men that are friends or that they were friends, you know. The other one would want the friendship to continue, would look at, oh, my friend's daughter, is of age. Donatus, I want you to get married to Mr. Sani's daughter. That is to continually extend their friendship. So people married people that they knew very well. People that they were convinced had no any questionable character or any history of questions to their name. So it was easy for such marriages to endure, you know, whatever that come or that came in marriages, hardship, there was tolerance, perseverance. And in cases where, one party or one of the spouses is becoming too overbearing, they did not blow it in the or bring it to the public domain. The two friends, the two parents would come together and, to find a way of resolving it without allowing the public to be aware that there is even a strife in their sons or in their daughter's marriage. So this old African wisdom helped, older marriages, not because those marriages were perfect in their own, perfect, absolutely, but because, they endured. This is not to say that one of the parties in on one occasion or the other was not, you know, overly overbearing. But that is to say that because of the friendship that existed, people found it very difficult to just hurt one another like that. So, secondly, in cases where even there was no friendship existing between the two families, the kingsman, the parent of the bride of the groom, would take time to understudy, to do investigation, to research the bride's family, not just the bride's nuclear family or immediate family, even the extended family, the lineage. They ask questions, they try to find out if the family is a family that, you know, is known for for kindness, for respect, for enduring marriage. You know, those were some of the, indices they used to qualify a woman for their children, for their sons in those days. So you see that even from the beginning, you know, a lot of problems, would have been solved. Character issues would have been almost half solved. You get. So, but these days, how do we select? How do we select our spouses? Some people even meet women on social media in different funny places. This is not to say that there are no marriages that are surviving 100%. You know that that the that the spouses are, maybe have met in places like even and in unusual places. Yes, but it is very risky. It is very risky, and there's high chances of having issues in marriages like that. That is why you see that older marriages survived. You know, some of the things that you people run out of marriage for these days. Yes, I am not saying that uh, people having misunderstanding. Misunderstanding is inevitable in marriages. So, but then people were mature enough to find it, even when the spouses themselves were not mature enough to even handle issues within themselves. Their parents, stepped in. That is not the case now. So you see that this is actually one of the reasons why things are really falling apart in African marriages this time, because we have tried to, in a way, you know, um, look at that process, those old wisdom that our parents used as being old school, as being a cake. So we don't pay attention to all these things anymore. People just see a woman that is attractive, fascinating, has good shape, a guy that is rich, doing well, handsome, and then the next thing is marriage. So Then the second thing that I feel is the reason why we're having a lot of issues these days in African marriages is that African marriages, like from the time past, had been built on the ground of injustice, bias. They will say men are polygamous in nature. A man can even be caught in the broad daylight, a married man sleeping with another woman, and the next minute he can be walking, with his head high up. You know, he feels like he's a man. So there was no stigma, but then women were stigmatized for even trying to have affairs outside of their marriages. So this stigmatization suppressed, women in the time past from expressing themselves. So that is why you see that there's a loud feminism these days. Women are beginning to say no. It's not like some people say, you know, what is wrong with their value system. The value system that is built on what's it called, on sentiment, on bias against women, is not a value system. It is not a sustain. It's not a value system that you can continue to sustain. A value system that will crucify woman for doing something and it will praise man for doing the same thing is not a good value system. So over time, women today now have decided to rise up against that stigma. That's why you see that some women now even go all out to express their own what's it called, protest against this African stigmatization against women by even you know going about to expose their own adulterous video online, unperturbed. This is people trying to make a statement, and instead of us looking at it inwardly and beginning to see how we'll be able to address issues like this, we are going about trying to crucify the woman for saying, yes, everything is wrong with a woman that is married sleeping with another man, and everything is as well wrong with a man that is married sleeping with another woman. If there is a consensus between you and your wife that you need to take another wife, yes, it's better, but the woman too deserves that respect. So women have been able to break that chain of stigmatization. So that's why you see that these days any married woman that the husband is senses that the husband is a chronic cheat, whenever she also has the opportunity to, and she does not even care. So that stigmatization is gradually fading away. So it will not be something that can hold women down again. It is genuine intention, kindness, empathy that is going to be what will help us in our African marriages. The other thing that I see that is the reason for issues and African marriage falling apart a lot these days is that the African man idea of being a husband is just to make material provision. You have given your provided food, paid children's school fees, and if you are well to do to some extent, bought clothes, wigs for your wives, you know, done a lot of things, sent money to your in-laws. So to an African man, once this is done, he's supposed to be revered and adorned like the king that he is in his own home. So in most cases, a good number of them are not even, they are inconsiderate towards their wives. They are disrespectful towards their wife. They do not even consider their wife's emotional needs. They just feel that, oh, by the virtue of these provisions, the wife owes them romance in return. So The African man does not even think that, oh, that he can come and then the wife can say, I don't want to have sex today, because he has what? He's been the one providing. Right? So the wife also does not even have right to talk when he's talking. The wife also does not have freedom to express anger or dissatisfaction, as the case may be. So, because when you do, the question they ask you is that, are you lacking anything? What have I not given you? And when an African man says these things, it is with respect to materials. But that takes me to the most important point of this discourse. What does Maslow say? In the Maslow hierarchy of needs, the physiological need, which is the material provision, that's the food you provide for your wife, the shelter that you give her, they are just the basic in the hierarchy of human needs. Yes, for a person who does not have these things, if you give it to him, initially he's going to feel loved. Right? It can appear to him as an expression of love initially. But when he or she gets used to it, he will realize that he needs more. And that's what Maslow says, that in the hierarchy of human needs, psychological needs, which is the top, which is food, provisions, what people eat to stay healthy. Secondly is the security needs, or shelter, feeling secured with you. Then you now talk about the emotional needs. From after emotional needs, then you talk about the self-esteem need. And then the last one is the self-actualization needs. So the longer you stay with woman, the more you realize that, or the woman realizes that beyond even the material things you are giving her, what she even needs more is she needs even the emotional needs more. The emotional needs of your wife is respect, validation, being held, being understood, being listened to, being appreciated. So a woman also wants to feel this way, that you respect her, that you listen to her, that you understand her, that you empathize with her. Affection, that you don't judge her. So she also want to feel, then now goes to the self-esteem need. Yes, you don't lower her ego, you don't talk your wife down because you make provisions for her. You know. So the question I ask you today, for most men who are in marriages or those who are aspiring to be married, is that if the woman that you are with, you know, should be able to independently cater to our own material needs, would she still be with you? This is a question to ponder. If you assess your wife and you feel that, take the things I'm giving her, the money from her now, oh, now she has her own money, she could do all that by herself. Will she still be with you? Would she still choose you? Would she choose to stay with you as a husband? So think about these questions. If you have doubts, then it means something is still wrong in your marriage and you need to address it. I'll stop here today. In another episode, I will talk about more deeper things that I feel that we can do to keep our marriage alive. For those who are intentional, for those who are family oriented, who want to have, marriages that last, you know, I will bring you more, episodes, of this series. Thank you for listening.